let's look at how we can make parts that fit together in ZBrush. So I'm not going to talk about scale because I've already done a video on that, but go ahead and watch that if you want to know how to scale it. This model is already scaled. So now we want to make sure that this can fit into there. So how are we going to do that? So what we're going to want to do is make a duplicate of this pen that we can use to cut into the cube here. So when doing booleans, I recommend making folders for them because this is going to make it easier to apply the booleans and have the output a result right here in our tool. So let's go ahead and hide the pen for a second and just look at this new one here. So what we want is, we want a simplified version of this. We don't need these little cracks and things like that because the hole doesn't need to have a lot of detail. It just needs to be a kind of combination of these shapes. So I'm going to press Control D just to smooth that out a little bit, just because I could see some edges there. And now it's a little bit smoother. And I'm going to Dynamesh this at quite a low resolution, and that's going to make it a kind of simplified version of this. So if I go ahead and run it there, maybe I could try again. So let's Control Z, and let's lower that, and let's press it again. Okay, this is kind of what I want. So it's just filled in some of those holes. So I'm going to now press Control D to smooth this out. I can maybe just blast that with a little bit of smooth. Don't smooth it too much because then it's going to change the shape. I just want to kind of wash out that detail a little bit. All right, now we're ready to cut this out of the block. So if we turn off solo here for a second, let's just hide the block and let's show the pen, and I'm going to put on transparency. So I want to make a bit of wiggle room because if I cut this right now, it's going to be so tight to the pen that it's probably not really going to fit in there. So this is what we call tolerance. So if we go to deformation and we inflate it a little bit, we can see that there's now a gap around the model, and this is going to allow it to actually slide in there nicely, be a little bit looser. If you go too much, it's going to be quite wobbly, so you want to find the sweet spot there, and this might take some trial and error. But if you've used the scale here, you can use the ruler to test how big that is. So if I come in a bit closer here, let's draw right off the edge there. I'm going to hold Shift to make sure I'm drawing a straight line. So I can see that this is about, looking up here, it's about 0.1 millimeters. So you just want a little bit of gap there, especially, but it also depends on what type of printer and resolution you're using. If you're using a FDM printer at a bigger layer height, it might be a little bit less accurate, so you might need a bigger tolerance. But if you're using resin, it should be more accurate, so you can get more of a form-fitting shape. But remember that that size is doubled because this is just one size. So if it's 0.12, then it would be doubled, so 0.24 millimeters all the way around. Okay, so now let's have a look at this. So if I move this down, so let's press onto the gizmo here. I'm going to reset the angle of this, and I'm just going to home that out. I'm going to put on the move multiple subtools, and I'm going to lock this one for a second. I want to show you a potential problem. So this would probably work if it was like that, but what if I was cutting really deep into there like that? So what we want to watch out for here, I'm just going to hide half the cube so we can see how it's sitting in there. And I'm going to turn on down here, display properties, double. So what's going to happen is that as this pen is sliding out, you see that it's tapered and it gets larger here. So it really actually can't get in there right now. We need a straight line there for this to fit in there. So as it is right now, this would not work. So let's make an adjustment to our model. So we're going to take this guy here. We're going to go at the widest point here. So I want to get this where it's at its widest, which is about here. And then I want to move this up. So I'm just going to move that and hold Shift so I draw it straight up. And then I want to check on here. And now if I move that up, you can see that there's more space for this to move up. Okay? So you want to make sure that you have enough space for the widest part to fit down into there. So that's better now. So let's turn off our transparency. I'll put the pen back to where it was, and we're going to actually Boolean this out now. So I'm going to unhide half the cube here, I'm gonna set this one to subtract, and I'm gonna turn on live Boolean. And now you can see the hole is being cut. So I want to apply this. So I'm gonna click on here, Boolean. You can press dynamic subdivision. I'm not actually using it right now, but if you are, it's useful to make sure you press that. And make sure you have transparency off when you do this, or it won't let you apply the Boolean here. And we turn on live Boolean, and we set it to subtract there. We're going to move this new cube here. Let's isolate it so we can see where it is. We're going to scale it up really big. And we can use that to kind of chop out half the model there so we can see what's happening. I'm going to turn that on there, and I can just push this around and see what my cut did. So if I push that back a little bit there. So yeah, this is actually telling me that I made a mistake here. So this is why this is very useful. So what did I do wrong here? Well, when I moved this pen, let's have a look. Somehow I didn't move it straight. So let's undo that. Let's reset this gizmo. Let's move it straight up this time. So we can now get rid of that. Let's Boolean this folder one more time. And there we go, that's looking much better. So now we can see that the cut is looking quite good. And we can check our groove to make sure it looks how we imagine. All right, I hope this was useful for you to make some interlocking parts in your 3D prints.